Um, the WhatsApp group will stay open, so I'll be really happy to hear any successes, micro or macro, or any questions or queries. Just well, you've got my email obviously, but you can also WhatsApp as well. So please don't think that I'm abandoning you. It's just that we won't be meeting, but it will be lovely to hear from you. So, are there any questions about anything that we've done in previous days or yesterday?
Suppose I wonder when we use them. Do we work on it before seeing the horse and then kind of hope that you then stay all calm and relaxed when you're riding? Is that what you do? Because you obviously said if I have a panic when I see a tractor or something, I can stop, breathe, do my peripheral vision from marker to marker on a hack. So
Yeah,
the things that we've been doing, would they be used like beforehand just to calm everything down?
yeah, you can do it that way. I've set up on the PDF for tomorrow like a scheme of what you could do before the ride, just before the ride, just before you get on, as you get on, give you a few ideas. So it depends on people's mindset. Some people will do something every day and then they may do something just before they get on, literally in the car or, at home, depending on how far your yard is. And they'll do it just before they get on, or literally at the stable itself. They do it then. The key is to choose a time when you're naturally feeling quite calm rather than to try and do it when the nerves are already starting to bubble up. So I'm going to talk about a little technique today about those anticipatory nerves. When you're not actually riding, you might not even be at the stables, but you still feel it. We'll talk about that one. But yeah, that if you can do the bulk of the work with the mindset work is off the horse, and people say, well, why is it off the horse, why isn't it on the horse? And we know there's bits and bobs you can do, like the peripheral vision. If you wanted to do, you could do your anchor. You can do some of the ones where we were pushing the emotion down and changing its colour. So there are bits and bobs that you can do on the horse. But the reason that we can do things off the horse is, first of all, you probably feel a bit calmer anyway, especially if you're just on your sofa at home. And the second thing is that your unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. So if you imagine a certain ride, although your logical mind knows that you've not done it, your logical mind knows that you've been sitting on the sofa thinking about it, your unconscious mind doesn't. It thinks you've done it. So it thinks, whatever you have imagined. So if you've imagined this lovely ride, then it thinks you've already done it. So it sort of banked that, we were saying about stacking these micro successes. It stacks it as any other micro success. It doesn't think, oh, that's only in your head. That's your logical mind. The logical mind is such a small proportion of the total mind that it gets swallowed up by the unconscious. So if we can just do these things off the horse, your unconscious mind isn't aware that you're not riding, which makes it a little bit easier and more comfortable for us as well. So have a little look at the PDF that I send tomorrow morning. It just gives you an idea which technique you can use, days before you're going to ride. Say you're going to do a competition, something where you might feel a bit more nervous, and then things you can do just before you get on and things you can do when you're on. And that'll give you a bit more of an idea. It's only an example. Of course, you can do whatever you like with these techniques. Anyone got anything else that they need to ask before we start getting loosened up for today? Okay. So our thought for today we've sort of talked about was the smell thing. So your sense of smell in the brain, the center for smell is very close to your center for your emotions, and it's the sense that doesn't go through anywhere near the logical mind. And like Caroline was saying, it's very ancient sense. Um, so it's something that we can use easily to anchor if you like smells. Oh, what a gorgeous doggy. Beautiful. Um, so we were talking about, using whatever scent you like, whether it is an essential oil or maybe it's your own perfume. You can anchor it like we did with the visual anchors, or maybe you're already anchored, maybe lavender or rose or whatever it might be. Maybe those things already calm you down, and they're great to use as well. And you can just put a little bit on your, on a glove, or obviously patch test these things if you're putting it directly on your skin, just so that you can smell it. You're sort of in a cloud of it. Um, as for our loosener for today, Sue's just coming in, so I'll just hold on a moment. Hi Sue, are you doing okay?
I am well, thank you. Yes, Tracy. Sorry I'm late. All the horses I have to do just took forever.
Yeah, yeah, they do on a Friday, don't they? More than any other day. We haven't started to do the loosener, but we're just about to do it. So you're right in time. So we're going to do a loosener called the anxiety model. This is a great one for anxieties that are about, well, most anxieties about the future, aren't they? That you're thinking about something that might happen in the future. Um, this is especially good if you've got something planned. So I know we were saying about the whole of the boot camp being so that you could do the 5 days, and then on day 6 you would go off and do your ride. Now, obviously you don't have to do it. If you want to do it on Sunday or Monday or whatever, you can do it then. But if you've got something in mind, this is the technique to do. So it's not where you've got a loose plan. I'm going to ride sometime next week. That's not as good. But if you've got a day that you want to ride, it's good if you've obviously got a competition. You'll know the date of the competition. If it's dressage, you might know the time. So if you've got something specific coming up, then it's a really nice technique for that. Um, so have a little think. And if you haven't got anything too specific, imagine that you're gonna get going tomorrow or Sunday, and all we're going to do is you use something called a timeline for this one. And your timeline is how your mind thinks of time. So most people think of time in a kind of linear way. You've got a past, you've got a present, you've got a future. And your timeline is a kind of representation of that. It's very personal. So some people's timelines seem to run from left to right. That's pretty common in the Western world because that's how we read. Lots of people think, well, I go from that end to that end. You'll find when you go to countries where their alphabet, they're not their alphabet, but they read from right to left, their timeline goes the opposite way. But it doesn't have to be in front of you. It might be that you feel like, oh, the past is behind me and the future's in front because it's not there yet. Some people have timelines that are diagonal or spiral, top to bottom or bottom to top. So it's your impression of where the past seems to be and where the future seems to be. And most people link it with a straight line, but it absolutely doesn't have to be. It can be curved, it can bend. Like I say, it can do loop the loops and spirals. And this is your personal timeline. So we're going to use the future side because we're thinking about this event, this ride in the future. Okay, so if you want to close your eyes, you can do. If you want to just stare into space, you can do. Just have that impression of your timeline. So some people see it. You know, visual people tend to see a line or, you know, a river or a road. Non-visual people just kind of intuitively feel the flow from the past to the present to the future. And it doesn't matter how you do it because it's your mind, and so it's extremely apt for you. So I want you to imagine that you're in now and that you can float up above now. And you're going to then face the future, and you're going to float out just a tiny way into the future to that day and time when you're going to do your ride. So this may just be, you know, inching your way because maybe it's tomorrow, so you're not going to float out a long way. Maybe it's sometime next week, and again, you're doing it by guesswork, by estimation. It's just communicating to your mind roughly where this thing is. So your mind knows, oh, it's not 10 years from now. It's not in the next minute. It has some kind of idea of the time scale. And when you get to this time point where you're doing your ride, I want you to just go 15 minutes beyond it. So 15 minutes beyond the end of the ride. So you're all finished, and then you go an extra 15 minutes. So you're well finished. Horse is back in the stable, back in the field, untacked. Maybe you've taken your boots off or your hat off, whatever you would be doing 15 minutes afterwards. And that's your time point. So just float out just that tiny weeny bit further, 15 minutes beyond the end of your ride, and look towards the present. So as you float above this timeline, 15 minutes beyond the end of the ride, I want you to just get in touch with how you'll feel. You probably feel quite good. Probably feel, you know, some level of success, accomplishment. And I want you to notice where the anxiety has gone, and maybe it's disappeared. If it has disappeared, brilliant. That's really quick. But for a lot of people, because we're all a bit skeptical, it doesn't fully disappear. There's just a little hint remaining, and that's fine. We're going to work on that. So here's what to do if you do this in the future and it doesn't disappear immediately, or even as we do it now, it's not fully gone. You convince your mind that this is only your imagination. So you're imagining 15 minutes into the future. And because you're imagining, you can do absolutely anything in your imagination. You can be riding in the Olympics, you can be riding a unicorn, you know, you get the idea. You can do anything, absolutely anything. So all we're doing, just in your imagination, this isn't a prediction in any way, this is just your imagination. You are imagining that that ride was 100% successful on your measure of success. So nobody else's measure of success, but on your own personal measure of success, that it was 100% successful. And again, we get those minds that say, yeah, but you can't say anything will be 100% successful. So again, remind yourself that this is only in your imagination. This is not real. It's not predicting. It's not forcing. It's not saying this will definitely happen. It's just in this moment right now. You are imagining that ride is 100% successful. And if you need to just work on that for a few moments, I'm going to leave you to do that quietly. So more than 95 or 96%, more than 98%, more than 99, get yourself to 100%. And you'll know when it happens because the anxiety drops almost like a stone. You'll know you've got to 100% success. So if you've got to 100% success, you can float back along your timeline towards now and then come back into now and open your eyes. And if it just needs a bit more work, keep reminding yourself, this is only my imagination. I'm just imagining 100%. And I can imagine anything, you know. I can do what I like in my imagination. Okay. Super duper. How was that? Was that easy? Was that tough? Did it work? How do you feel?
I
I
felt,
think
sorry,
you go first.
no, no, after you.
All right, thank you. I got a bit confused at first with the looking back and looking forward, but as soon as you said just go for it 100%, it was really easy to just in that moment be really, really pleased with how focused I was and how I went in that ride. It was just that it felt freeing that it was a future thing I was imagining being like that rather than trying to be now,
Yeah.
you know, not trusting in the output, but that person.
Yeah.
It liberated me. It was really nice to be, you know, sort of take that judgment away from how I feel now to know how
Yeah.
I'm going to feel in the future.
Yeah, and I think that's the key to it, isn't it? That you are going 15 minutes when it's all finished. I sometimes use this for going to the dentist, you know. I don't like going to the dentist. I use it for that. 100% success, no fillings.
Oh, it's a great idea.
And obviously I can't predict. I don't know what the dentist is really going to find, but the whole thing is just to calm me. That is not to say I'm going to have no fillings, but it is a calming technique.
Oh, I like that.
How did you get on, Gina?
Well, I was just, when you said the ride was 100% successful, I felt, quite exhilarated and champagne ready. So that's
Woo!
good.
I love it. Champagne ready. Great, great. Anyone else? Any questions or comments? Okay, so like with all the looseners that we've done, that's what they are. They're a loosener. They're not the most powerful techniques in the world, and they're not meant to be, but they're quick, they're easy. That one you might need to repeat. You know, if you think, oh, actually, I have got some ride that I've got planned, and I am a bit nervous about how it's going to go, you probably would need to repeat it. But like we said, your unconscious mind thinks you've already done it. So whatever you imagine now, your unconscious mind thinks you've done it once already. So if you were to imagine it, let's say 10 times before you actually do it, then when you go to do it physically, your unconscious mind thinks this is the 11th time, and it's starting to be like, oh, for goodness sake, I keep doing this thing. And it's so easy, you know, it's just second nature. So, you can appreciate that after a lot of practice, it does embed itself as well. Okay, Any questions before we move on to our technique for this evening? Okay, so the technique is called a visual squash, which I love because you can just imagine a squash, and that's almost what it is. And I was saying yesterday, you know, you imagine on one hand, doesn't matter which hand, where you are now, and we'll build this up in just a sec. This is just an overview. And then you imagine on your other hand where you want to be, and the gap between your two hands is the steps that you're going to take. Now, it doesn't matter if you don't know what the steps are. Most people don't know what the steps are. It's kind of good if you know the first step, but the first step is something easy. So the first step might be, you know, grooming your horse, tacking up. That it doesn't have to be anything big. And we're going to put lots of little steps together, and then we're going to concertina them together, squash them together, so it feels like where you want to be and where you are now are very, very close to each other. Okay, so have a little think about where you are now as a rider, with your riding, with your horse, and where you want to be. Okay, so what I want you to do first of all then is to think about where you are now. And this doesn't have to be, you know, super positive or anything like that. It may be, if that's how you're feeling at the moment, but if you've got any niggles, then they're fine too. We just want to know the status quo. We're not trying to mask anything. So thinking about where you are now, I want you to create for yourself a mind's eye view of that. So what I mean by that is, again, if you're quite visual, you might see something, you might see yourself, or see your horse, or see yourself on your horse. If you're not everybody's visual, then you might have something a bit blurry. There might be a bit of a visual, but it doesn't matter if there's not. If you are visual, then that's great. You probably want to make it brighter. You may want to make it a bigger picture, big and bold and bright. So it seems a bit different, and you may want to bring that picture closer to you. If it feels like that picture is, you know, a distance away, just imagine bringing it closer and zooming in. So big and bright and close to you, if you've got a picture of any description. The sounds. For some people, sounds are incredibly important. So you want a soundtrack of natural sounds, footfall, horses nickering. It could be what you're saying to yourself inside your own head. It could be birdsong. And we said before when we did Swish, you know, it could be a really uplifting song or soundtrack. So you want that, and you want it to be obvious, so make it a little louder. And then how you're feeling at the moment. So again, we're not doing this as the ideal because this is the now picture. So how are you feeling? If you've got positive feelings, turn them up, start to imagine them growing. If they're negative, let's just leave them where they are for the moment. If you are somebody who talks to yourself inside your head, you have a lot of internal chatter, you might want to put some internal chatter onto this representation. If you don't really talk to yourself, then don't worry about it, leave it away, leave it off. So hopefully we've got something that's visual, auditory, we've got feelings, we've got self-talk if we do self-talk. And if you're a smells person, then you might have a smell and you might not. So this is the representation of you as now. Okay, so you can just clear your mental screen. You might want to see it just like a swipe, or you might want to open your eyes for a second, because we're going to create a similar representation of where you want to be. We'll do it exactly the same way. So just close your eyes or stare into space. So this one is another vivid representation of how you want it to be, how you want to be, how you want to ride. So we want to be very clear to our mind how we would be feeling, how we would be behaving, acting, riding, making this in as much detail as possible. So for instance, if you're a very visual person, imagine in as much detail as possible where you're riding. So if you're riding in a school, you know, you can see the surface, you can see maybe there's a fence or there's hedges. You can see, if you look down, you can see your reins, you can see the detail of the leather, you can see your horse's mane, you know, all of these things make in as much detail as possible if you're quite visual. If you're not very visual, make it in, you know, a bit of detail that you're happy with. If you're someone who feels how the horse is moving, or you want to feel how the horse is moving, so you might feel your seat bones moving, or you might feel your weight shifting, or the feel of the reins in your hands, the feel of the stirrups beneath your feet. Have a little think about the feel. If you're using aids in this ride, how much pressure do you need to bend the horse around your leg, or how much pressure do you need to get them to walk on or trot on, and all those kind of things. So have a little think about that. Have a little think about what you're saying to yourself. If you're the self-talk kind of person, what would you be saying in this picture? Would you be saying, this is it, I've done it? Or would you be saying something else? So be saying that to yourself. And anything that you would be hearing, maybe it's footfall, you know, nice and rhythmical. And we said before, it could be birdsong, could be somebody else talking to you. Just think about the sounds. So make it as sensory rich as you can in terms of visuals and auditories, feelings. We've talked about the sensation type of feelings, but also how about the emotional type of feeling? Will you be feeling motivated or determined or successful, or just calm and joyful, however you want to feel? So now we've got our second representation. So what I would like you to do is to just have your arms in front of, oh, you won't be able to see me. Just have your arms in front of you, roughly parallel. I'm holding my arms up so you can see, but you can rest them a little bit more. Don't rest them on anything as such. Have them pretty free moving. But we're going to do this as quickly as we can so your arms don't ache. So I want you to put one of the representations on one hand, doesn't matter which one, but your choice, and the other one on your other hand. And as we said before, the space between your hands represents these unknown, unspecified, unexplored steps between the two. So what I want you to do is, looking at your now representation, the representation of you as you are now. So look at that hand and think about, you know, just a centimetre or two away from that hand is a new representation of the next step. So again, what's your first step, your very first step towards your other hand? And we said before, this might be something really simple. It could be grooming your horse, tacking your horse up, anything at all, doable, simple, easy. And then make that have really great sights, sounds, feelings. So that's a really easy and doable first step, but also it's quite compelling as well. And then when you think about the next step onwards, what would that be? Maybe that's getting on, but maybe it's something else as well. Maybe it's warming up. And again, make that into a nice, vivid image. It can even be a little movie that represents the next step. And once you're on your horse and you're warming up, then you're pretty much there a lot of the time. So each little picture from now on is just adding a little bit more detail. You know, maybe it means you're either going a little bit quicker, you might be trotting, or maybe it's warming up more, or doing circles or figures of eight, or whatever it might be. Think about the next step and the next step. So you're just changing each step slightly each time to get nearer to the ideal representation on your other hand. So it's a really progressive, but kind of slow in its progress to get there. So it's kind of just tiny steps each time. And again, I'm going to leave you in a moment. Have about 10 to 12 steps maximum between your hands, taking you from as you are now to how you want to be. And I'll leave you a few moments while you put together all of those steps. You don't have to remember them. You're just moving from one to the next to the next. I'll give everyone about another minute so that we're all there. We've got our stepping stones. If you get stuck, don't worry. What would be if you're stuck at a point, think, well, okay, I'm not quite sure what the next one would be. Start at where you're the person, the rider that you want to be, and work backwards and see if that helps. Okay, a few more seconds. So you should have, a number of steps between the hands. So now, what I'd like you to do is to slowly start to bring your hands together and close your hands, and you're collapsing all the steps into one single process. When you've done that, just bring your hands to rest high on your chest and feel as though you're pulling in this new version of you into yourself as you do that. Now this bit is optional, this next bit. So see if you like it or not. Some people really love it. Some people, not that enamored by it. But what we're going to do is notice the feeling. Notice the feeling that you've got now that you've collapsed all of those steps into one, and your new way of being and riding is so much closer. Notice the feeling that it gives you. Some people are fine with just doing that, and some people like to imagine that feeling spinning, and that feeling spins faster and faster and faster and with more intensity, so that it starts to permeate the whole of your body. Every nerve, every muscle, every fiber, every cell, every part of you as it spins round very intensely. And as it's spinning, if you're doing this, decide your very first step and commit to doing that right now. And if you're not spinning, then just think about that first step anyway, and that commitment to do it. And however you're doing this now, you think about that first step, and then you think about that second step and the third, and so on. And as you think about each one now, you intensify this feeling of can do all the way through the steps to being the rider you want to be, so that you feel really compelled to go ahead and do it. I'll give you a few moments to get through that. Whenever you're ready, do take your time, but whenever you're ready, you can just relax your arms and open your eyes. Okay, good. How did that feel? How was that for you? Are we able to go for it?
I'll go. I really loved that. That was so. But I have to say, I was struggling with the last few steps, and then you said work back from the end, and then I jumped straight into what the next step would be. It was weird because
Oh,
I didn't have to process. Oh no, God, what's next? It's like, how am I going to be? Well, obviously, the next thing I'm going to do is this, and
oh,
I really liked that. Yeah.
that's really nice. That's really good. So do you feel ready to go ahead and have a go at what you want to do?
Yes. And I have to say, part of the reason I was late today is I spent loads of time grooming two of my horses, which I never do, usually at night, usually rushing around. And then today we're now talking about, your first step is just grooming your horses. And I was like, that really struck a chord with me, because that's literally the thing that I've reconnected with.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else? How we feeling?
I thought that was really powerful with the the two pictures going together with all the steps.
Mm,
My spinning was just a very slow like that, so that didn't really do much.
yeah.
But then I was thinking of all the steps, so I'm going to do my peripheral vision from my marker to marker tomorrow.
Oh, nice. Nice. I'm with you on the spinning. The spinning is in the traditional set of instructions. I don't personally like it. It's too intense for me, I think. Maybe it's because I get travel sickness. It makes me feel a bit like that. Like, ooh, I don't want to spin.
I couldn't really G mine up. It was just kind of it wasn't really spinning. It was just toddling.
We are funny creatures, aren't we? That I mean, there's nothing actually happening, is there? We're sitting here perfectly still, and yet it's the power of the mind that thinks you're spinning too slowly or too quickly.
So I really liked the spinning bit. I wasn't like Eugenia. The spinning got quite fast for me, but I quite liked it. A bit scary, the sort of going with it at first. But yeah, I find that was a really nice.
Oh, good.
I suppose anchor is not the word because that's another technique, isn't it? But it kind of anchored it and bedded it in.
Mm, yeah. Anyone got any questions about doing that for themselves?
I suppose just the same question I asked you the other day. Is it one of those things where the more you do it, the more powerful it gets? You might break down the steps more. So even if you're
Yeah.
using the same example.
Yeah, yeah. You start to get a bit clearer on the steps because I don't know how you felt about thinking the steps. If it's something that's far apart for me, I can do the first couple of steps and then I think, I don't know how to get there. That's the whole point. Um, so the more you do it, the more you kind of relax into the process and think, well, it's not a big step. All I've got to do is change one tiny aspect, and then I'm a step closer. And so you get to do it much more quickly.
Yeah. Oh, I should be definitely trying that then. And as with Gina, the peripheral vision thing, I've been doing that for the last 2 days. It's been lovely.
It's great for cleaning the house because you can't see any dirt whatsoever. You're just going to peripheral vision. Oh, I think my house is pretty clean. You can't see any detail at all. Yeah, mucking out's the same way as well. Try and do it when you're mucking out because you think, oh, well, I'm not really doing anything that I need to think about. You look at your bed at the end and you think, ooh. Okay. Is there anything else that I can help you with? Or any questions that you've got while we're all online together? Um, as I say, you can always ask me questions, but sometimes it's easier when you're actually there live together.
I have one, and I suppose it's sort of where would you take it next? So obviously I've got a toolkit now to start using and seeing, and then I suppose sort of this is only part of the journey, isn't it? There's lots of stuff in NLP and all the stuff you teach. Sort of, so going forward from this, is it give this a time to bed in and see how these develop, and then we can always get in touch with you and say, is there a thing to do with this, or just
Yeah.
generally have a session with you to go over things and say, I've been trying this and I'm sure I'm doing it mostly right, for example.
Yeah, yeah. You've got lots. You've got lots. I memean, you've got 5 looseners and 5 techniques. That is plenty to get on with. Um, nobody really needs any more unless, like you say, there is something really specific that you're saying, well, have I got a technique for this? Or this is happening and I really don't think any of the techniques fit. So you could get in contact with me and I'll let you know that yes, there's a wide range of other techniques in NLP, but you at the moment you don't need them. So don't feel like you've got to book a session or train up or anything like that. You've got plenty for now, but you also know that in the future, should you want something or need something, yes, there probably is something that you can use, join up, or whatever you want to do.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a little bit sad to say bye, isn't it? But thank you so much for joining me for 5 days. It's been really lovely from my end. I've really enjoyed doing this. And I'm not an evening worker by nature, but actually I've quite liked doing this and I've looked forward to it each evening. So thank you so much.
Oh, I've looked forward to it as well. I didn't think it would be as I thought it would be good, but I did not think it would be as good and each one as easy to sort of take as an individual session. Each one has been quite immediate and powerful, I suppose, is the take I've had on it. So thank you for putting together. I've really appreciated this week together.
Thank you. Thank you. Okie dokie. Right, so you know where I am. If you need to contact me, don't hesitate. Just get on WhatsApp or get on email, and I need to know your successes. So tell me all about them. I don't care if they're micro, or I don't care if you've won Hickstead. I need to know what they are. All right, then. Take care. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you all.
Bye bye.
Bye.